What's going on, everyone? Kelly Cavallari here, one half of 7 Air Media, and welcome to today's edition of the Honky Tonk Highway, episode number 41. Yes, we've made it into the 40s, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in so far. If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, follow us, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We are currently live on both Facebook and YouTube for anybody who wants to tune in anywhere you can. Um, Huge shout out to my buddy Shane Smoothlegs McKeever, who has already joined us this evening. You're a little early. Welcome, Shane. Shane was one of the gentlemen, along with my guest today, who was in the LDF fundraiser this past weekend. Daniel Trippett shaved off his beard and waxed his armpits, which I don't want to know what made him think of that one. Shane got his legs waxed, and my guest today shaved his head. So without further ado, he might look a little different than the last time you've seen him on camera. This weekend, he did something awesome for charity for the LDF. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dave Morgan. What's going on, Dave? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Cal. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you.
It's afternoon. It's 5 o'clock, so
Good.
it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So thank you for coming on today.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Absolutely.
It's not usual for me to be on this side.
Right.
It's me that does the questions.
This one should be a fun one. So for those who don't know you out there,
Yeah.
why don't you give us a little history on how you got into the dance world?
Okay, well, for those of you who don't know, I came into line dance back in 1996.
That's a good
That's
year.
when I started. And so, yeah, just gone 24 years in the industry, and I started off dancing in South Wales, over here in the UK, all thanks to my stepmom. Um, we had some relatives visiting us at the time, and they came home from work, and both my parents worked for the media. And they said, "What are we going to do to entertain the family?" And she'd seen this advert for line dancing, so she said, "This is what we're going to do." I was horrified. Honestly, I was like, "We're going to what?" Off we go, off to go to this venue, and yeah, my first experience of line dance was not what I expected to see. And my parents had said, "Well, let's, after going it, did you enjoy it?" Yeah, the family had a good time. My parents said, "Let's make this a weekly thing." So we went a couple of times, but my parents then dropped off. They just decided and just left me to it. And so here we are 24 years later. So that's how I started,
Crazy.
way back when. I was my first teacher. I was taught by over here, who I would definitely call an original and a legend, a lady called Ruth Elias.
Okay.
Ruth Elias was judge for the UCWDC,
Yeah.
CWDC, and that she was my first instructor.
Oh, wow.
Um, mhm. So yeah, go way back, way back.
Yeah, you do. Um, for those out there in the States that are watching who don't know who Dave is, he is a co-choreographer for the dance Both, the amazing dance written by himself and Jenny Stevenson that Simon Ward taught at Florida Line Dance Classic last December. So they also got nominated for a Crystal Boot Award.
Absolutely, yeah. Huge thank you to Simon for that. We never expected it was. I don't choreograph all the time. I have had a few dances over the years. It's something I enjoy, but I have to really want to do it. And then I'd been asked before with Jenny Stevenson, which about doing a dance, and we never got round to it. And it was just by coincidence that we were both at the same event. We were actually, I'm trying to think now, was it Jenny Brad? We were at Jenny Bradshaw's event. And I'd been at work all day. My family, Debbie and the children had been at the
Right.
event, and then I had to go later on. And while I was there, it was just a case of, well, you're here, do something. And I had heard this music. I'd heard Ingrid Andres on one of our national radio stations, BBC Radio,
Uh-huh.
driving to work, which was a different song. And I just thought, I really love this. And I thought, I won't touch that song because everyone else is going to write to this. It's such a great track. I'll just not leave it. I thought, well, what else has she done? And I hadn't realised that she was relatively new. And I just heard both. I heard this one track and thought, this is amazing. I thought, I love this. And I said to Jenny, what do you think? And she said straight away, I think the 8 bars were played, and she went, right, I said, yeah, let's get it done. So we wrote that dance. We had it done in about 20 minutes. We had it done pretty quick. And we never expected, honestly, it was just a case of we've written the dance, put it out there, and we never, ever perceived anyone, it would even be picked up on. And there we are. It was, and thanks to Simon, he really liked it, and he took it on his travels.
He did.
And I dare people that nominate, people that sent in votes for it for the Crystal Boot Awards. We absolutely, overwhelmed, just absolutely to be nominated. So that's sort of the most recent choreography, I suppose, that people would know me from. I have been to, I'll say, obviously, it's a long time since I've been to any events in the States. I think the last event that Debbie and I attended was one of John Robinson's.
Okay.
And that was the JJ Jam Classic.
Oof.
I think it was the first one that he did.
Wow.
The first classic, and it was the first one where Joe Thompson returned to the dance floor after being away. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've been doing some looking up on Copperknob. So you've written about 50-ish dances, maybe a little bit more. Did a little count.
Yeah.
What,
over the years.
Over the years. What's been your favorite so far?
I would, well, definitely, I've got to say both. I mean, both with Jenny. But before that, I would say I've been asked, people said before, do you have favorite dancers? But one that I wrote years ago now was called Dilemma.
Okay.
And Dilemma, I entered at the Windy City.
Okay.
In the competition year, well, way back. And it got picked up on out there. I know it did very well. Luann Schemmel, I know that she championed it. I know that she taught it. She said it was, it was popular. And I would still say to this day, that is my all-time favorite dance that I have choreographed. Simply the time that I wrote it, it was very different.
Okay.
It was, it would definitely be, I think at the time I called it an intermediate dance, but I think now it would probably be given a high intermediate, because it's, when I think about what's in it,
right,
the steps. But it's the one that, again, it's one that's been and gone, but, if I ever say we've got the chance to review it, I probably would at some point. So that's on the dance side. And then I did a little one last year that did again surprisingly well, called Hands Talk Tonight.
Okay.
Which was by Rascal Flatts. So there's some of the dancers that I'm.
Willie popped that one in there a little bit ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're also a DJ on Line Dancer Radio. How'd you get into that?
So DJing. So we've been doing Line Dancer Radio now for a couple of years now. Before that, I started DJing on Move Radio.
Okay.
So that's how that started. That's how I got in. I was asked by a gentleman called Mark Guichard over here in the UK. And then things, with that radio station, things took a different direction to what I was originally, we was doing. So we went on to Line Dancer Radio, and it was with Betty. Betty liked the idea. I mean, Line Dancer magazine were probably one of the originals to have a radio station in a different format. It was all podcasts, and I know lots of people did, and again, it was like a loop system. And I know that Lawrence Soletto was really the main man at the time that was behind all of that. And I know that he wanted to develop it into more of a radio station with live shows.
Okay.
So we've been going now for coming up now to the 2 years. And we've got such an amazing team. Amazing team of DJs. Everyone does it. It's free. So they all do it voluntary. It's all in their own time. So no one is paid for it. People think everyone's paid for it. They're not. And for such a large team, we do tend to, everyone refers to each other as family, because they're amazing. A lot of these people I didn't know. I knew them from seeing them at events, but I didn't know them really well as people. And they have become like best friends. They're people I speak to virtually on a daily basis. And they just, the time and effort they guys put in with the shows, the research, and our listeners, the community, the people that listen, has been really overwhelming. So throughout the lockdown period as well, over here, we've noticed significant people discovering the station
Yep.
around the world, and we just hope that it gives people some, through the lockdown, it's given some people comfort, people especially who have been on their own through lockdown. Living alone for 10, 11 weeks isn't, for a lot of people, it's not funny. Without having regular contact. So, but
Right.
yeah, it has been great. I mean, I'm very, very proud. We obviously, we got nominated for a Crystal Boot. Which we would get, we were so lucky to get the People's Choice, and that was most unexpected. And that really was a huge surprise. That was a huge shock for the entire team, because it really was not, we're not thought of at all. We never thought we would get that, but so we do what we do. So we're always there. We're open to. We will love the suggestions people make to us as well. So if anybody wants us to do something specific with the radio station, then we're all ears. We're a friendly team. We're a friendly team.
Right.
Um,
Chris wants to know about how long does it take you to prepare for your line dancer chart show?
Okay, so at the moment, yeah, so that is the Teach of the Week poll that I got going. Got going. And it started off again as some of those little ideas that you have just to try and see what people are doing. Julie, so I'm just reading that. So I've just seen Julie Lopton pop up on the chat. Betty, the chat. Betty is always getting, people voting is, as people don't realize, voting is incredibly important.
Right.
On the charts to get it's about getting the charts accurate, what you're dancing out there. It's again, for the awards, it's so people can recognize or nominate or say thank you to the people that are bringing them a lot of fun, a lot of joy on the dance floors. So the teaching poll was to find out on a weekly basis what people were teaching, and I made the rules of it wasn't your favorite dance. It's what you either have taught as an instructor or you have learnt in your classes.
Okay.
And whether you liked the dance or not, I was not interested whether you liked it or not. Has it been taught to you? Has it been done? And that's how it started. So the poll goes out each week. So I have a week. There's a week of which I have to collate that information every week, get the results in, get it, and then the show then was based on, I would play out the top 20.
Okay.
Now I will get in excess of 100 dancers every week.
Oof.
And that has stopped now because of the lockdown. I stopped the teaching poll because there's been no real classes, if you know what I
Right.
mean. Everything's been virtual.
Right.
So I cut that. So I haven't done that now for a while. I can't wait to get back to doing that. In a way. So yeah, so Chris, literally, it does, from the minute I put that teaching poll out, and that's how long it takes me to. That's how long it takes. I've got to get all that information together, which is all spreadsheeted. The information is collated all year long. So we have again a little voting. It's a little voting system with our spreadsheet too. So at the end of the year, I can then look at what were the most voted dance throughout that year.
Cool.
So it is a lot of, I mean, there is a lot of work involved, but again, it's good fun, and it just helps people. If people, it just helps. The results are always sent to Line Dancer. The results are sent to Line Dancer every week. So I send them to Betty as well, so they know what's going on out there. But I think that's really been the beauty of Facebook, where
Oh.
on social media, people are on social media, and trying to drive people to websites now is probably sometimes harder than it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, if it's not on Facebook, it's probably harder to harder to find. I've noticed, and I do a lot with
It's
social, and
just
I do a lot of social
it's
media.
just it's just down to be, just how easy it is for people. It doesn't take people 2 minutes to do it,
Right.
and I can see people having so of course over here it became the running joke because of course it's a poll, and over here everyone's called it David Morgan's poll, and it's been and it's been the run Dave Morgan's poll, and it's been a running joke with a lot of them out there, week in, week out. But yeah, absolutely, all good fun, all good fun. And then I used to do a little spot on the show as well afterwards, which I used to call the ones you've got to watch, and that was just a little rundown of some new choreography and from anybody. Again, it would look at what was new, would just literally play it out, say this is the dance, this is who it's by, what level it is. You go away. It's not a recommend. I'm not telling you to go and dance this dance.
Right.
That's just, it's out there. If you haven't come across it, you like the sound of the music, you go away and go and look at it. Is it whether it's suitable for your classes? So that was my regular Tuesday night show. So that's what I did on the Tuesdays, and then of course through lockdown, when that obviously I had to wind it up, it was a case of what do I do, and then it was a kind of a few suggestions from people. Why don't you interview people? And I at first, it was like at first I thought, well, who's going to want to come on? Who's going to want to be interviewed? I mean, my show is late. Right. It's a late night show too. So who wants to stay up? But I've been absolutely overwhelmed with the amount of people who have volunteered, and yeah, they've just come on and being again told us about their lives, about things you don't know. It's been really good fun. So I intend to do that for probably a little while longer. And I've just had a few more people ask if again whether they'd like to come on. So that's what I'll do. But hopefully I hope it's not too long before we can start getting some new dancers through and and see what happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the shows.
How many times a week are you on?
Well, on a regular basis, 2 times a week. So Monday nights I do what's called timelines.
Right.
And timelines is a look back specifically at Online Dancer magazine. So I will pick an edition out from over the many years. Oh. And then the show is based on what the dancers were at that current time. I mean, it's more UK probably orientated because of early days, the people that were sending in the results. So we used to do that. So I play the top 10 that was in each that monthly magazine. Oh, wow. And then I go through and then I play tracks from what came from some of the album reviews, what the dancers were printed in the magazine, and then dancers related then to the article. So I actually go back and just briefly and tell people about what was in the magazine, who was in there, and it's some of the names that are in it that you don't see now in the line dance world. I can imagine. And it's so that's more of a history program. Again, if you like it, if people like to look back on they don't want it all new and they want to go back, then that's a great show for people to listen into. But they're my 2 regular shows. But then of course over lockdown, and then of course with the LDF, the LDF side of things. Then of course we've had the lovely Helen O'Malley. So Helen O'Malley then has been saying, can we do this, can we do that? And then when you've asked, different ideas are coming from everybody. We've all then tried to do shows. All the DJs as well. They've all done extra shows to step up. So through the period, so there's been more live shows. People, the team have really, some of the, have gone way beyond. Producing just extra shows for people, just to keep people company. And it's been varied to, you name it with us. We have Michael Lynn, who does the new line. He does a new line show. So he does all the, as he refers to them, he does all the banging tunes. He does a chill show, which is all the smooth. Right. We have Fred Broy. He does Dutch in line. Yep. So that is all based on Dutch, Belgian, German choreographers, on what they're doing. Jenny, we have Adrian who does an all request show. We have Jenny who does the country, who at the moment is doing a lot of the last few shows she's done has all been country number ones. So there's been some awesome tracks played, absolutely awesome tracks there. We have Heather Barton, so we have Leather with Heather, of course, and we always say she chats away every week. We find out what she's been up to in a little cabin up in Scotland.
You hear JP and Jose, if you're watching, it's Heather, not Heather. Our heater, it's Heather. Rhymes with leather. Just for you guys.
Yeah,
I know you have a problem with her name a lot.
They say that's what Assumpta calls her, Heather with the leather. So it has been fun. It's been, like I say, and I say I've not missed anybody. There's Darren Mitchell, of course, in Australia. So he obviously he has over here it's a very early morning show, but of course he gets a huge following from Australia.
Right.
So we find out what's happening down there too. Everything's varied. We have Chris and Megan who do the podcast.
Yep.
So Chris and Megan, so we get to find out from them what's happening at US events, and so there is something for everybody. We always say that you'll find something that
right
that you should like within. So that's sort of up to date. That's what I've been doing up to date, and I've never been as busy. I haven't had I haven't had time.
I also do the Streamline one on Saturdays.
And I do the Streamline for the boys.
Yep.
Just a rundown on a Saturday afternoon of what's been happening. So that's so. Through this, I wouldn't have had time to go to my work. I wouldn't have had time to go for my proper job. So of course I'm what we call furloughed at the moment,
right.
until everything starts to reopen fully.
Yeah, we haven't had a dance event over here yet, but looks like the first one's probably going to be the Experience in September for line.
Wow. Right. Yeah, we fingers crossed as well. I know for Dave and Pauline for New Line.
Yep.
So their New Line event, September based. At the end, so fingers crossed.
I know there's a UCWDC event that's going to happen the first week of August in Arizona.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
That got announced a day or two ago by Mona Brandt with the UCWDC. It's her event out in Arizona. So as of right now, I know that event's on as of right now. So looks like the first dance event we're going to see is probably August.
Well, fingers crossed. It'll be here before you know it, and fingers crossed that we say. It's just again, it's been all the virtual things that have been happening. Like you've been involved with so much as well. I've
been trying to stay busy.
It's like. But it's been an absolute savior for people. Not being able to get to see people in person, right. And just being able to touch base with everybody. So with everything that's gone on, so with Digital Dance Weekend, of course, the social distancing, the retro line, streamline, and all your, what I call a big shout out to the grassroots instructors.
Yep.
That are out there are doing things for their classes. And I know there's been, so over here, there's Billy Curtis from the ELD. He's been setting up, been helping to set people up who really don't like technology or not. And to be truthful, even with the radio, we don't like technology. Sometimes it just doesn't do what you want it to do when you want it to do it. But
nope.
This has been, so for a lot of people, it's been a huge, savior to lots of people. So we're very grateful for everybody, for doing what they're doing. So
yeah, thankfully I had almost every piece of equipment I needed to do this show. I think I went out and bought a different mic, and that was it. But I could have got by with my old mic, but luckily I was lucky. I had enough cameras and gear around to do this show. I've only been talking about doing this show for a year. And my schedule hasn't allowed it. So it was weird. It was definitely a weird addition to start doing a show like this. But I've been enjoying it. And like you, I hesitated because like you with your interviews, who's going to want to come on and talk? And then it's like,
yeah.
And then
very
everyone's like,
much.
"Oh, I can't
Um,
talk for an hour." You'll be surprised how fast the hour goes.
oh,
Trust me.
yeah. So many people have said the same, that they've been so apprehensive before they've even come on.
Yep.
And you can hear it sometimes as you start off with them. You
Yeah.
can hear it's very, and once, but again, it's once you get going. I mean, it's to me,
Right.
I always say, it's like I say, it's like a telephone call.
It
It's
is.
just like we know, a telephone call. We've known, just treat it like we've known each other for years, which some we have,
Right.
but we've only known, but like I say, we've known each other from seeing each other at events,
Yeah.
and
Like with you,
but
like me
not
and
on.
you, I met you the first time back in WDM 2017 when I came over.
Yes, that's
A
right.
couple of years, and you were DJing at World Dance Masters. Um,
Uh,
and for luckily, there's been a couple of people I've reached out to that I just met randomly, but a lot of them I've seen multiple times a year, so I got to know them. Like Tim Johnson the other night, Debbie I've known for years since she started coming over. But then I also have my good friends that I've known like Guyton and stuff like that. So I make sure to
that's,
sprinkle it out that way I can have
I mean,
the comfortness, like you say,
I
people
mean,
that
to
you're
be,
used to
I
talking to.
mean, you, the DJ, like you just said, the first time you met me was say
Yep.
World Dance Masters. But I mean, down to the DJing side of it for there, I mean, I'd say a big thank you. Like, well, I'm on a big thank you, a big thank you to Dave and Pauline, because it was Dave and Pauline Baycroft who got that, who sort of put me forward to Nicola and Sam. It
Mm-hmm.
was down to them that said, because they were looking for somebody, and so it's thanks to them that I did that I have been there, and luckily, and very grateful that I've been invited back each since then. And then of course then was invited, then this year was asked then to host the fourth ballroom, which was going to be this year, and of course then to host it and being able to bring in Line Dancer Radio and bring all the gang in. So that's going to be again something new in 2021.
Yeah.
So again, we're really looking forward to that. But big shout, again, there's loads of people. I mean, God, I think over the years, like I said, I've been dancing since 1996, line dancing since 96.
Whew.
I've taught, over the UK. I mean, as I started in South Wales, and that's where my parents live. It's not where I'm from, but that's how it started. But then I was only dancing for a while, and then I went to university. So I moved to London. So from there on, while I was studying in London, I had to go find classes to go to. So, and of course, that was when the boom hit in the UK. Classes were just, you can imagine, in London, the venues were just absolutely rammed. I mean, you could go dancing 7 nights a week, and the classes had, you could walk into some and there'd be excess of 400 people. They were massive. The classes were just huge, but really good fun. And then I started teaching while I was down in the London area, and just to help out while I was in uni.
Okay.
And that's how it started. I taught but the thing was, then I never had my own class as such, or club. In those days, I taught for other people.
Gotcha.
So which is quite bizarre. Yeah, which was, I taught for a group that were in the day called Sundance, as a group of instructors, and then I was asked to go and teach at a venue called Planets in Woking. And then went to Lakeside in Frimley, where you probably heard of Nigel. You know Nigel Amon.
I've actually been
There's
to Nigel's
Nigel.
class. Tim,
Uh-huh.
Tim
So
took
that,
Tim took me out there when we came back in 2017.
okay, so years ago, that's where I used to teach.
Okay.
So that was my venue all those years ago. I left there in 2001, and I only left that because I moved back up north. To the north of England. Saying everywhere, this is where you're going to get loads of people have a shock horror. This is where I married my first wife. So that's where. So that. So and my first wife was not a fan of line dance, and I had a couple of years out. I still did now and again try and get to the odd class and social, and I stayed. I'm thankful that I stayed in touch with people, but I wasn't actively dancing. And then after a divorce, it was Rachel McEnany White that came and saved the day. She knew I was living up there, and she said, we need to get you back. You need to come back. You need to get out. You need to get back into the scene. So it was thanks to Rachel. So I used to go to Rachel's class in York, and I used to go dancing on there. And when she was traveling all over the world, then the next thing I knew, she said, "Well, will you do my classes?" So I ended up then teaching for Rachel when she was traveling all over, and then she'd come back. So I know them well. They're lovely, and Jill and Ian. So fond memories, really. So if you like, I've been a bit of a nomad, really, because I've taught here, there, all over the UK, here, there, and everywhere. But I suppose that's down to being a child as well. I moved around as a child due to my parents' work. So I've lived all over the UK. So I never feel exactly rooted to one place. Yeah. So I'm quite easy to adapt.
That's good.
So yeah, then of course things moved on from there, and then that's when I went to an event in Scotland. It was our lovely Lizzie Clark. She used to do the New Year Bash.
Yep.
And that is where I met Debbie. And that was it. And we met Debbie. It was a bit of I lived in Leeds at the time, so it was a bit of a long distance relationship for a while. And I'll tell you a story here. So we'd only been seeing each other on and off because we'd been different events, and then I was down to teach. I'd been booked for about 2 years to do an event in Whitby. So I was contracted. I'd been asked 2 years in advance. I'd had a contract to go and teach, and I was struck down. I was struck down with glandular fever. I was really quite poorly with it, but I had to. But still, I was contracted and still had to do this event. And the doctors had said, we don't advise it. You mustn't drive. You mustn't. So Debbie had been out in Benidorm. I think Benidorm, or she'd been to Spain. She'd been somewhere. She was abroad. I don't know if she was. I think she might have been at an event with Charlotte McCarry, maybe, and Lizzie, or I think. So anyway, she flew back that morning. She flew into Newcastle Airport in the early hours. She drove all the way back to Carlisle where she lived, picked up some stuff, dropped the case off, got another case. She drove all the way down to Leeds to pick me up, and then drive all the way up to the north to take me to the venue. So I actually didn't break the contract. Got there, taught. I felt absolutely horrific. I stayed away from everybody as well, because I must have seen that weekend. I must have seen the most miserable, sort of standoffish person. But it was a case of, as well, was feeling so lousy. Taught the dancers, put the act on, and then had to sit down. Then it was a kind of God, So Debbie took me back to Leeds after the event, and Debbie decided she wasn't going home. And she actually, she actually packed a job in. She packed a job in, handed a notice in, much to her parents' disgust. Because of course her parents didn't know me properly either. So it was like, oh my God, what's going on? But that's it. So ever since, yeah. So that's how that happened. So for anyone that didn't know that, you do now.
Yeah, everyone in the chat was like, "We love your second wife."
Yeah, only because most of them never met the first. That's why.
Oh.
Oh dear, no. So it's been great fun along the way. So yeah, I've taught. I've been very lucky. I've been very blessed to have met so many wonderful people. Big shout out, again, I think of, Dave and Pauline have done so much for us, and there's another couple over here in the UK called Pat and Derek Burley Flynn. Again, they are like second parents, like our parents. Again, they're like, adopted parents too. They, again, have done so much for us over the years. So we've got loads of friends. We've got, I don't want to start listing people because somebody will get missed, and I don't want anyone getting upset. But we have made some amazing friends, and very close ones. Especially, like I say, you've got the Line Dancer Radio team.
Right.
That were some of those people who were just people that I knew of, and you've got to know these people. We've got Gemma and Sharon. Again, massive friends. But we've got, not to leave anybody out. There's a whole list of people that have meant so much to us. So yeah, it's been a journey. I've been to events in the States. I can't wait till there's a day we can actually come back. It wasn't so difficult when it was just me and Debbie. But now we've got the two, we've got the children, we've got the two.
Right.
So, we would love to get out to the States.
Trust me, I'm sure give it a couple years. I'm sure Blair will be getting invited as an instructor, so she can bring you.
Oh, Blair, yeah, Blair will be going on her own. It'll be bye.
Like, bye, guys.
Yeah, you mean Blair? The thing is with Blair, Blair she danced before she was born. When Debbie was carrying her, we would be at events and certain pieces of music would come on, and Blair would start moving, and Deb would say she's bouncing about, and I think every time you had an Irish track came on,
Oh man,
she was bopping about all over the place, and there was different tracks. Debbie will remind me as well of other things, but so she was always dancing. But we always said from day one, if she followed us, if she danced of her own for herself.
right?
She doesn't dance for us. We're not, it's a kind of, she was never pressured. She's never been pressured. We're not, to go into competition. We always said, I must admit, I was against, to be very honest, the competition side of it. I was pretty against it to start with. I used to compete all those years ago. I started competing. I competed in the UC.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how pressurized it can be. I didn't travel as much as a lot of people. I didn't, I never actually got to Nashville, so I never won a world title, which I'm sad about, and got out there to compete. But we never wanted that. But Blair has done that herself. She loves dance. And then everyone at the events has just absolutely taken her under their wing. Wherever she goes, it's the love that people give is incredible. And then thanks to, of course, she wanted to compete. She saw, she went along to the events. She saw people dancing, and again, thanks to as well Jenny Stevenson, because Jenny Stevenson is Blair's coach. She's a teacher, and we have Jenny to thank for the competition, how well she's done, but she just loves to dance. There's always a day if she ever turns around and says, I don't want to do this anymore, that's fine. But she loves what she does. Everyone's so kind. We can't thank people enough. I know initially when they were little, we used to go to events.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know it might be different in different countries, but here in the UK, in the UK, there's a lot of people who think children should be seen and not heard. So I remember when we used to go to the events, you would get looks from people to say, why have they brought those children? Why are these kids here? Or I say initially it was just Blair. So Blair was very tiny, but people, we thought, well, they're generally very good. They generally don't cause a riot wherever we go. They're good. So, and then of course the first thing she did the wobble with Blair at the Crystal Boot. It was Crystal Boot Awards, and she danced the wobble, and people went mad, and it sort of went viral. It went all over. It sort of went onto YouTube. It went everywhere. And I think Scooter Lee shared it on her own page as well, which was just ridiculous, crazy. And from there on, that was good. But then we've got, obviously, we've got Blake. Yeah. So Blake is a real character. Blake is the real comedian of the family. He comes out with, the things I can't repeat on here. Well, actually, maybe I can, because I watched Debbie's interview back and about Lacey. That was about little Lacey. That was just so fun. I remember when that happened.
Yeah, that was kind of priceless.
Priceless, absolutely brilliant. So Blake is another one. Blake is probably like Lacey. He doesn't, his attention span. He's he's doing one thing, he's on to the next. He's always said, a lot of people say, when are you going to start dancing, Blake? Well, he's like, no, not interested. But he can dance. That's the thing. He can. His rhythm's incredible, and he has started. Since we did the electric slide, we did the dance solo together. He learnt the electric slide, and then since then he has picked up the other things. He can dance. So who knows? I don't know with him, but generally he will always be, Blake will always be his own person, and you know that already from him. He will. he literally, Blake, I think Blake will go through life and he'll do exactly what he wants to do. I think he'll achieve, and I think, in a good way. I think if he has his heart set on something, he'll achieve it. He'll go for it,
That's
and
good.
no matter what the kids do, we'll support them. But so yes, we're great. So we can't wait to get once we'd love to come out to the events again. So the events, I've been to the Windy City, I think 3 times.
Okay.
I've been to Doug and Jackie's Vegas Explosion, but that was back in that was back in 2005. So those are like, again, people like I haven't seen for years. So people like Brian McWhirter and Vivian Scott and people like that were all at those events. I haven't seen them for such a long time. And then where else? And then of course we went to the JJ Gem Classic, which I have to say, when people say what's your favourite event, we go to lots of events. We love, we go, everything we go to, we love. But I have to say, for Debbie and I, John's JJ Gem Classic will always have such a memory for us because it was a small US event.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd been to the bigger ones, didn't know,
Right.
but we decided we wanted to go because everything they were doing was all retro.
Okay.
There was nothing new till weekend. It was all retro dancers, and of course his lineup was phenomenal. I mean, he had because he had Joe there, so it's the first, again, her first event back. She had Max, Jamie Marshall,
Mm-hmm.
and Junior Willis, of course, was there as well. So I've not seen, and so there was such, and Kathy Hunyadi, there was such a great team, and we had such good fun, and it was such a small event. I know everyone at the event we were the only Brits there. Everybody else, and they were like, "What are you doing here? Why have you come? Why are you in Indianapolis? You've come to Indianapolis? Why are you?" And we made a holiday of it. We went to the event, had such a wonderful time. Because we went with a friend, one of Deb's best friends, Valerie Clemenson. We experienced our first tornado
Oh, whoa.
while we were there.
Oh.
That was fun. So especially when you sort of like Deb's best friend just is absolutely petrified of thunder and lightning. And of course we'd watched. They'd said this things were coming on and had it on the news all day that this tornado's heading for downtown Indianapolis, and it was just and we were dancing away, and it was just so funny. The manager coming in and telling everybody, if it does come towards the hotel, we've all got to. There's no basement in this hotel. There was no basement. We all had to go to the centre of the building, and of course Valerie's having a complete panic attack. She disappeared. So she vanishes. These doors fly open outside. These like double door things fly open, and there's all this crash of thunder and lightning. And it was just, I can laugh at it now, but it was quite, I have to say, it was a little bit scary. And it was literally at the last minute, the tornado detoured. It actually decided to go. But yeah, it was good, all good fun. Loved every, makes a holiday.
Pauline wants to know, where's your wine?
Where's my wine?
Yeah,
My wine.
Wine, not wife.
Oh, wine. It's here. Cheers.
So Chris and Michael.
That's another thing I'm known for.
Yeah. Chris and Michael both have asked, how did you get your nickname, Diddy Dave?
Well, that was down to, again, that's Rachel's fault, really. So way back when, it was Rachel and another guy. I'm trying to think. God, I was trying to think of his name. There was two people, because at the time when I was dancing down south, there was a few of us. There was about 3 or 4 of us, called Dave. So there was Dave Warburg, as I remember. Dave was really tall. Dave was about 6 foot, and then there was a couple of other Daves, as I remember. Some I haven't seen for ages. So when they used to be at venues, or they would call Rachel on stage or whatever, and would call Dave, there'd be about 4 of us that would answer. So in the end, that's really how that came about, because I am small. I'm only 5 foot, whatever, 5 foot 5. So that was it, and the name Diddy Dave. That's how it stuck. I was known for that for years. Look, sort of as the time's gone by, I've managed to get rid of it. I've tried to drop it, but it's only people that have known me for so long. There's some people will still call me Diddy or Dids, they don't call me David, Dave. That's how I'm. That's I think how I will always be known to some people. But that's really how that happened.
I know your pain. I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of the nickname Kelly Boy, since there's two
Kelly
of us.
Boy.
It started my one of my best friends started it. Big Jim Stankiewicz, because my girlfriend's also named Kelly. We just spell it different, and to get us tell us apart, they started calling us Kelly Boy and Kelly Girl. So I know your pain on that one of getting rid of a nickname.
I've just seen my wife's comment there, just flick up there. She says, I think she thinks I'm stopping for breath so people can ask questions. No, I'm keep talking so they can't ask questions. Don't be silly.
Georgina wants to know, what's your favorite classic dance?
Who asked? Who is it? Georgina that asked.
Georgina asked that one.
Favorite? Oh, good. Oh, wow. Oh. I would have to go with Blue Finger Lou. I am a huge fan of Max Perry and his choreography. I love everything that he does, that he writes. I think, way back when I taught a lot, I was very lucky when I taught at Lakeside where Nigel is. Mm-hmm. My Sunday night class was the advanced night. It was an advanced class. And so in those days, I would teach all what I'd call the Max Perry epic dances, the phrase, the ABCs, along with Scott Blevins, who used to teach all of Scott's dances. So back in the day, they're the kind of things that the class would do. But Blue Finger Lou, I would definitely say, would be one of mine. There's so many. There's classic dances that you don't hear of anymore.
Right.
Which is sadly, and I remember, and I sometimes play them out on my timeline show sometimes, and I'm going through, and I think, and there's been ones that have been redone as well. People have been redoing on, of course, social distancing and Streamline. So I've been looking at some and thinking, wow. I like Gerard Murphy taught crab bucket.
Yes.
Which I learned, I learned back in 2004, 5.
Yeah, I think that's when he brought it. He brought it to Marathon. Yeah. Yep.
And I did it at I did it at the Windy City.
Right.
So things like that, I don't get to dance them anymore because they're just, like I say, there's that many dancers now. A lot of people want new. They want the latest thing that's coming out. They're not there's a lot of people that they're not interested in what went before, apart from those of us who've been dancing for so long. There's so many dancers that we have lost, and I just think the last couple of weeks have been amazing in that people have trying to bring them back and introduce them onto the dance floor. And for World Dance Masters, Dave's just doing an amazing job in trying to get people to relearn them and then get them back onto the dance floor at the Spanish, in the Spanish ballroom and stuff, and because some of these dancers should still be on our floors, because because I know in the States you still do loads of classics out there that might have gone over here.
Oh yeah, we do. We do a good amount. It's all depends on the night of the dance event. JP does a really good job of playing a good amount of them, and later in the evening, some of the older dances get brought back out. But yeah, there's still a good chunk of classics we do. Like Hideaway Cha's done all the time. Have Fun Go Mad is still done sometimes twice a night.
That is here.
One to the original song and one to the new one. So there's still tons of ones that we do a lot here in the States.
The one that's not seen over here or done over here, which I know was certainly done over in the US, was Dipstick by Judah McDonald.
Yep.
And I thought that was just one of the best dancers going. And I know that last time I went over, I had a lot of fun with Jill Babinek with that one.
Yep.
Jill and the gang and John, and so things like that.
Yeah.
That are just dances I just don't get to do. Like Whatever Happens is another one that you did over there, and so. But yeah, I think the one that I still get to do is Blue Finger Lou. Debbie's, if someone said Debbie's favourite is Poetry in Motion. So if anyone said to her what is her classic dance, that would be Deb's. Blair's too little to have she's too little to have a classic dance as such, but Blair will dance anything that you're dancing. So she'll just follow you.
Pauline just said,
So
unfortunately,
on.
Pauline just said, Dave said he unfortunately got stuck with the Big Dave moniker.
Yeah, Big Dave Gas Tap. Yes, of
Yes.
course. Um, but yeah, it's been in terms of, like I say to you, it's been wonderful. It's been a real journey. We've learned, we wouldn't be, it's like you wouldn't be without the line dance community.
Right.
There isn't a community. We always say it, but it's true. There isn't a community like ours.
I agree.
There isn't. So you've seen that through the LDF, through the generosity of people, and helping everybody out in really tough time. Being there to help everybody for tough times. I mean, I remember when Betty launched the LDF way back. I remember the day she, at the Crystal Boots, when she announced that was her vision. And initially, I know at the vision, it took quite some time to sort of go on, take off.
Right.
Kathy Hodgson, who is one of our DJs as well. Kathy was one of the first ambassadors, if not the first, to try and get the word out there for LDF. And then as years have gone by to what it's now become, of course, Helen O'Malley's just dry. It's like a power machine. She's like a machine.
Yep.
You don't give her any ideas because you don't know what she's going to do next. But so yeah, it's with the current situation, there's been a lot of worry to a lot of people. Will things survive? Will the classes survive? Will the event survive? We can only pray, keep our fingers crossed every day that they do. That we've all got something to come back to.
Right.
As such, but I think so. I think with everything that's gone on digitally, I think if nothing had happened, who knows?
Yeah. Obviously, you play a lot of songs right now. You got a lot of shows going on, and you've been playing weeks and weeks and weeks of all the retro stuff, the Streamline, the social. What's been your favorite dances? Your favorite current dances that you've been playing and you see being done right now?
Right. Okay. So you say I haven't been playing as many new ones as some of the others have actually. Only when I've had certain guests on. So some of the new ones that I really say that I've looked at that I really liked. I love Sweet Attraction's a big dance now. It's a Trisha, and you give me a dance to a Trisha would track, I'm there. It doesn't matter, what level it is, I'm there. I'll do it. But yeah, that's doing very well. Love that. So other new dances that I've been trying to look through. I've got like a list at the moment of when they come out. I'm very much looking forward to one of Neil's new ones that he's doing on the Digital Dance Weekend. So I managed to play that. He let me have that for when he was on my show when I interviewed Neil's and gave us a preview. And I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's gone out, and I tell you one I've just seen by Kate Sala. Kate Sala taught one on just this weekend, just gone on Rob's
on Legends.
On Legends.
Yep.
Called Anna. Really lovely nightclub. She's nightclub style dance that she's just done. It's gorgeous. So I think for Kate that could be a real big dance for her. So I'm hoping they don't get lost. I mean, what else have we got here? I love, of course, we've got the from the Funtastic raffle. So, of course, the first dance to be released was from Peter Metalnick and Alison Biggs and Melanie Dale and Emma Carroll. And they've just done This Is Love, again, to a Westlife track.
Yep.
Really great. Really lovely. We've got Roy and Fiona with Claire Bell. They've got Everything's About Love. Remember, We've Got Love. Love that, because you've got a choice of two tracks. Exactly the same artist, same track, but two different versions. So one is really upbeat and the other is incredibly smooth, but you can still do the dance. Right. Love it. I mean, that's clever choreography.
Michael Lynn just said that Niels' new one is Stuck on You by Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber.
That's the one. Yeah, he's got a couple because he's done another one. He did a couple, but that's the one I know that's the one he's teaching.
Right.
And I tell you, the other one that's really popular in our house, of course, is TikTok. Is TikTok Love by Jose.
Yep.
Because of course the kids are doing TikToks.
Of course.
So the kids are doing the TikToks, of course, when the music comes on, the little faces light up, and um, so I'm looking forward to a lot of I am looking forward to a lot of new dances that are out there. You've got Dare to Love from Gary and Maggie,
Maggie.
which is another one. Yeah, a lot. I've got loads to look. I mean, God, loads to look through. Loads to, ones I hope that are going to stay with us. And I got so in terms of I've got to learn them all. There's the another one Joe Thompson's we've just launched this weekend with a fantastic raffle called No Secrets. So that's
Okay.
Joe's latest that she's written with a lady called Irene Zant from Austria. And Pauline, yes, I'll have another drink of wine. Cheers. But yeah, there's just a couple as well. I mean, a couple of ones that I'm, looking out, but there's been, so many new dancers, which I'm pleased to see that people haven't just stopped. In a way, I'm glad that they've started to pick up again, and why not?
Right. Yeah, it's getting. Hopefully, we'll be back up and running to normalcy here soon. I know a couple countries have started in-person class again. Like Alison Johnstone, her classes started back up again. Jonas has had his classes start up. So we've had a lot of couple places. I know they're starting to do here, depending on the state we're in. Classes are starting back up. So hopefully soon we'll see a dance event get going here. We can go back to normalcy.
Absolutely. I mean, the other one as well, I say, talking of new dancers as well, there's, so talking about the dancers, Rob Fowler and Sharon Harris have got a new one called Stop This Flame as
Okay.
well. Really, and that's cool. That's a really cool track by Celeste. So again, I say that's enough. So I'm making, like I say, if I eventually get back to our classes, as we get back to class, these are
Right.
they'll all there'll be like a crash course.
Yeah, that's
So yeah,
I can imagine there's gonna be lots of reviews like the first 3 weeks classes start back up. I can
I
imagine the
mean,
first open dance night at a dance event. How does this dance go again?
yeah. I mean, we only have the one class. We don't have lots of classes. I only because of work and
Right.
things, and so I work late as well. So again, it's fitting everything in because the radio shows are late shows Monday, Tuesday, and I have to do them late because I've got to ensure. I literally do run through the door. I do literally get home, run through the door, and then straight onto the radio some nights.
Right.
So the other night was a Wednesday. We had stopped teaching. We did have a class, and then we stopped, and because of things, we just could not, fit everything in. And a local class around here, I was DJing for Daniel Whitaker at one of his events over here that was called Liverpool Rocks. And just by chance, these two ladies came up and had said, what about our local instructors? They said, have you heard they're retiring? They're packing it all in. We're not going to have a class. So never really at first I said, oh God, that's such a shame. And there was a whole table